In the skies of World War II, where innovation and bravery intertwined, two iconic aircraft, P-47 Thunderbolt and P-51 Mustang, held the spotlight. Yet standing apart, a singular marvel soared, the Lockheed P-38 Lightning. With a legacy that defied convention and a design that captivated the skies, the P-38 was a formidable high-altitude interceptor birthed from the dreams of First Lieutenants Benjamin S. Kelsey and Gordon P. Seville. This is the story of its birth, trials, victories, and its unique journey through the theater of war, where it blazed a trail of courage, shattered records, and carved its name as an enduring symbol of aviation excellence. From its unconventional layout to the chilling challenges its pilots faced, from the Mediterranean unpredictable battles to the Pacific's ruthless tests, this is the story of P-38 Lightning, a warbird that soared like hell, battled like a wasp upwards, and landed like a butterfly. Lockheed P-38 Lightning. The P-47 Thunderbolt and the P-51 Mustang were the other two great US Army Air Corps US AAC fighters of World War II. By almost 2.5 years, the P-38 Lightning was the first plane to fly. Lockheed Aircraft Company designed and built it. It was built to a 1937 specification that called for a high-altitude interceptor with strong weapons and rapid rate of ascent. Circular Proposal X-608 was a set of aircraft performance goals written by First Lieutenants Benjamin S. Kelsey and Gordon P. Seville that aimed to create a twin-engine high-altitude interceptor for tactical interception and attack of hostile aircraft at high altitude. This specification attempted to avoid the rigid US AAC requirement of carrying no more than 500 pounds of weapons, including ammunition, as well as the restriction of single-engine aircraft to one engine. The specs required a maximum airspeed of at least 360 miles per hour and a 6-minute ascent to 20,000 feet. The US AAC requested a pair of liquid-cooled inline Allison engines that were turbo-supercharged for high-altitude performance. The Lockheed design team, led by Hal Hibbard and Clarence Kelly Johnson, investigated a variety of twin-engine arrangements. Including both engines in the middle fuselage with push-pull propellers, the Lockheed team picked two boom engines for the tail assembly and turbo superchargers for the pilot and armament. The P-38 fighter aircraft was an uncommon layout in the modern aircraft design since it deployed a nose-mounted gun clustering system as opposed to the US fighters, which normally used wing-mounted weapons. This enabled pilots to shoot further, with Lightning striking targets at a distance of up to 1,000 yards. The P-38 was the first American fighter to employ stainless steel and smooth flush riveted butt-jointed aluminum skin panels, as well as the first military jet to fly faster than 400 miles per hour in level flight. Lockheed won the competition in 1937 and building began in 1938, with the XP-38 taking to the skies on January 27, 1939. The prototype was destroyed in a mishap at Mitchell Field in New York, but the US AAC purchased 13 more planes for service testing. Lockheed had to mitigate the consequences of high-speed aerodynamic compressibility and tail buffeting, as well as other issues uncovered during service testing. The most perplexing challenge was the loss of control and subsequent plunge produced by the aerodynamic compressibility. Major Sigma A. Gilkey of the US Air Force faced problems when descending his Lightning at high speed in late April 1941. The plane's tail began to shake violently and the nose fell until the descent was virtually vertical. Gilkey recovered and landed safely, and the tail buffet issue was remedied when the Lockheed placed new fillets to increase airflow. Engineers began determining what caused the Lightning's snout to dip 17 months later. They tested a scale model P-38 in the Ames laboratory wind tunnel and discovered shock waves occurred when airflow over the wing's leading edges reached transonic speeds. The nose drop and loss of control were entirely addressed, although Lockheed fitted dive recovery flaps under each wing in 1944, allowing the pilots to keep control when plunging at high speed. In March 1940, the French and the British bought 667 P-38 aircraft, a variation of the P-38E. Following the fall of France in June 1940, The British took up the full order and gave the aircraft the service designation Lightning. By June 1941, the War Ministry had revised its prior aircraft requirements in light of the Battle of Britain and Luftwaffe Blitz airstrikes on Great Britain. British dissatisfaction with the Lockheed procurement resulted in contract changes, with 143 aircraft delivered as Lightning Mark I and 524 updated to US standard P-38E standards. The British cancelled all 3 Lightnings, and the 3 P-38Es were transferred from the US AAC to the Royal Australian Air Force No. 1 Photographic Reconnaissance Squadron. The first plane arrived on August 31, 1942 and served well until a landing disaster in August 1944. The second plane had a less remarkable career, operating just from 4 September 1942 until 18 December 1942, when it was phased out. The third Lightning arrived on February 27, 1943 and served until it was destroyed in a wheels-up landing on December 10, 1943. The P-38E was not planned to be photographic reconnaissance aircraft, but circumstances forced the Royal Australian Air Force to utilize it in that capacity. Following the December 1941 attack on Pearl Harbor, the US government seized all the orders of P-38 Lightning and ordered 322 aircraft for the West Coast defense. The US AAC received all the British Lightnings, and many of the 524 Lightning orders by the British were outfitted with stronger F-10 Allison engines and wing pylons for fuel tanks or bombs. The modified planes were sent to the Pacific as US AAC F-5 air reconnaissance planes or P-38G fighter planes. In the Mediterranean theater of operations, the P-38 fighter aircraft had mixed performance, with some pilots scoring numerous kills and becoming ace pilots, while others were shot down owing to inexperience or technical constraints. The P-38 fighters' primary job in North Africa was to escort bombers, but they also attacked transport planes and were occasionally assigned with ground assault missions. The P-38 squadrons were vulnerable to aerial attack by German fighters, who chose the best position and time. The ineffective early tactical strategy of American units compelled the P-38s to always fly close to the bombers rather than defend fiercely or clear airspace for the bombers. Due to this constraint, all available P-38s in the UK were sent to the North Africa to replenish squadron strengths. Following this harrowing experience, the American command altered tactics and the P-38 was given free rein in its flight in February 1943. On April 5, 1943, 26 P-38 fighters claimed the destruction of 31 enemy aircraft. German fighter pilots had conflicting feelings about the P-38, with some dismissing it as an easy kill and the other hailing it as a terrible enemy worth of respect. The P-38 performed admirably but suffered from a number of issues, including Allison engines through rods, swallowed valves, and fall plugs. Its intercoolers frequently burst under continuous high boost and turbochargers regulators froze, resulting in catastrophic failures. The absence of heat in the cockpit was a key issue with the P-38, according to the Lightning pilot 2nd Lieutenant Jim Cockle of the 378 Fighter Group. The only source of heat in the cockpit was warm air ducted from the engines, which proved insufficient. Lightning pilots suffered greatly, with their hands and feet getting numb from the cold and frostbitten. The P-38 Lightning was a very effective World War II fighter with remarkable range and dependability for protracted missions over water. It was utilized for a variety of purposes, including escorting bombers at altitude ranging from 18,000 to 25,000 feet. The cockpit was frequently excessively hot, and pilots assigned to low-altitude missions frequently flew with shorts, tennis shoes, and a parachute. Because of its great speed and rate of ascent, the P-38 was able to employ energy tactics, making numerous high-speed passes at its target. Its densely packed weapons were more lethal against poorly armed Japanese planes than to German ones. With 40 wins, Dick Brown, the highest-scoring US World War II air ace, the dual Allison engines functioned brilliantly in the Pacific, and the majority of the top Army ace flew Lightning P-38s first flew in the Aleutian Islands of Alaska on May 29, 1942, and remained there for the duration of the war. The island chain provided one of the most challenging environments for testing the new aircraft under combat situations. More lightning strikes were launched as a result of poor weather and other factors than enemy activity. On April 18, 1943, P-38 pilots from 78th and 339th Fighter Squadron of the 347th Fighter Group completed one of the war's most crucial Lightning missions. To escape the discovery, they flew 435 miles across the coast of Bougainville at altitude ranging from 10 to 50 feet above the ocean. They encountered two Mitsubishi G4M Betty bombers, transporting the Admiral Yamamoto and his crew, as well as 6 Mitsubishi A6M0s escorting the Lightning pilots. And these P-38s destroyed all of those planes. The P-38's service record is uneven, which may reflect more on its employment than issues with the aircraft. The Lightning's reputation as a World War II fighter is unparalleled, with over 10,000 P-38s produced during the war, flying over 130,000 sorties in theater throughout the world. P-38 pilots shot down more Japanese aircraft than any other fighter and collected 90% of the aerial video acquired over the Europe. Colonel Ben Callis, a test pilot, aptly summed up the Warbird's legacy, claiming that the bird would soar like hell, battle like a wasp upstairs, and land like a butterfly.
Thanks for watching. I have more similar videos on my channel that you may like. See you guys in the next video.